Welcome to the BrightWord Books Podcast. BrightWord is a leading platform for diverse storytelling, where voices from all backgrounds can share their unique narratives and connect with readers from around the world. Follow our regular podcast updates, where we strive to foster a literary community that celebrates creativity, inclusivity, and the transformative power of literature.
Another episode of BrightWord Books Podcast, where we dive into stories that really inspire and transform. My name is Romy Davidor, and I'm your host for this episode. And today we have a very, very special guest with us, Debra Lee Fader, the author of the powerful and thought-provoking book, Walk by Faith with God as Your Compass. So, Debra...
May I ask, it's Fader?
Fader. Okay, yeah.
Fader.
Yeah.
Fader. It looks like Feder, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah,
probably in
Fader.
Europe it would be, but it's Fader.
Okay. Yeah,
And then
100%.
Yeah, and somebody tried to call me. I had my phone on. Oh, Lordy. Now I'm all right.
Fader. Okay, yeah.
Just
make sure
I've been so nervous for this anyway. And then, yeah. Okay.
Everything is okay. Just make sure your phone is on silence. Yeah, so we don't have surprises.
Turned it totally off.
Okay, good. So I'll do it from the start, and it's Fader, right? Fader?
Fader, yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to another episode of the BrightWord Books Podcast, where we dive into stories that inspire and transform. My name is Romy Davidor, and I'm your host for this episode. Today, we have a very, very special guest with us, Debra Lee Fader, the author of the powerful, thought-provoking book, Walk by Faith with God as Your Compass. Now, Debra's journey through faith and the powerful lessons she's learned are beautifully woven into this book, which encourages all to trust in God's plan no matter their circumstances. Now, in this episode, we'll explore the myths of faith, personal growth, and the actionable steps we can take to walk by faith in our everyday lives. So sit back, relax, and join us as we journey deeper into Debra's story. So, hey, Debra, it's really great to have you with us today. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Romy. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. And, I have a lot of questions to ask. So I'm just going to kick off with the first question. When you look back on the creation of Walk by Faith, what moment stands out as the true spark kind of to this book?
Well, the true spark for me is just the idea that faith can overcome any obstacle. I had a beautiful life, a charmed life as an entertainer for many years. And then I became a broadcaster and also a worship director, and couldn't believe I was in that position and could actually be able to make a living as a worship director. It was just unbelievable to me. And as things were straightening out and my life was full of blessings, and my family, my husband, our children, I have to go again. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just answer the question again.
So for me, the most important thing is how faith can help you overcome any obstacle in your life. And believe me, I was tried and tested many times. Many people thought that I had a very charmed life because I was in entertainment. I was very successful, but one day I just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not singing for you, God. So I was taken out of it. It's when God closes a door, he opens a window. And in that way, for me, I became a broadcaster. And then I met my husband. My whole family life was changed. We added a new family to my own family at that point in Minnesota, where I grew up. And mind you, I had been all over the world singing and dancing and acting, and very involved in a show business career. But Minnesota is not the best place to launch a show business career, but it was a great place to grow up, and it was a great place to be a broadcaster and then finally a worship director. And things were going great in my life until one day I woke up and I went to get out of bed. I fell on my knees, and then I fell straight down onto my face, and I couldn't move any part of my body.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that's the perseverance aspect. And without the belief in God, I never would have been standing again.
Wow. So, this is I'm sure it happened to a lot of people, and it's a point to make a decision. Like, how do you continue your life? And as we know, faith can take many forms for different people. How
Yeah.
would you describe kind of your personal definition of faith?
Definition of faith?
Yeah.
For for me, well, for me, it's God the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Those are the three elements in my life that keep me going. But my most important thing is God the Father. And I know that for others, it may be a completely different deity, even.
Mhm.
The idea is to have a higher power, something outside of yourself, so that you don't focus so much on yourself. You can focus on the journey and bring your best friend with you, your guidance, which for me is God. God is all encompassing.
Yeah. I think it's interesting and it's important and okay to have different perspectives or definitions of faith, but I connect and resonate with what you're saying as your definition. And we live in a world, sorry, that many seek very kind of quick fixes. Like it's a very instant world. What do you think it means to walk by faith, and how does it differ from momentary inspiration that we sometimes, experience?
Well, I used to sing a song that was put out there by the Promise Keepers, which is a men's group that they go all over the world and go to stadiums and try to bring people closer to God. And the song starts with, I walk by faith, each step by faith. And I literally found out that I needed to walk by faith to make even a step.
Mhm.
So it is a literal meaning to me to walk by faith and also have God as my compass. So that would be my explanation. And I feel that anybody that's on the fence about having a higher power, having God in their life, they should read my book because they'll find out that without believing in the Lord, for me, the Alpha, the Omega, all that God encompasses, um, I would be probably one of the most bitter people you've ever met. And we don't want that because my life had changed so drastically. And I've seen other people that, without having a faith component in their life, struggle with that and they're never the same. And instead, for me, I've branched out. I've become more loving, more kind, more forgiving, more all the things that a person needs to do to negate that negative part of your nature. And we all have a good side and a bad side,
Yeah.
but we really do. And but we have to learn to reach out to other people with kindness, love, hope, and kindness, charity, all of those good things, and actually live by it on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I try to do. So that's what it means to me. And you can start with just a one toe in the water to learn to walk by faith. Some people come kicking and screaming. Others enjoy the journey. I chose to enjoy the journey and to count my blessings each day when I could actually maybe stand up and just stand in place. And that wasn't an easy thing. There was a lot of therapy involved. And many people would give up. I had people in my life that said, why don't you just give it up, quit trying to do this, and just sit in a wheelchair and let people push you. I'm so worried about you trying to walk on a sidewalk, or I'm worried about you. And I'm thinking, no, no, that's your solution
Yeah.
for it's your convenience that you're thinking of, not what I need to do for me. And so, and I always felt that God was behind me, just gently guiding me, pushing me. Don't listen to what others want or think. Listen to my voice. And that's what I did.
Wow, it's very inspirational because it's you made a choice, and I believe in making kind of proactive choices on how you want to live your life and what values and what drives you. So it's very inspirational to hear that this is the choice that you make, and it's probably a choice and a path that you choose every single day all over again. So
It truly is.
yeah, and I appreciate it, hearing it. And, we often hear about people finding faith in moments of struggle. What
Mhm.
role kind of did peace or stillness play in your own faith journey as you wrote this book?
Well, as I wrote the book, I had to recall when I first had a charismatic introduction to God. And
Mhm.
I believe me, I was raised in the Catholic Church. I was one of those kids that went to catechism. And also my first 3 years, I was in school. I was with the nuns. I was very involved. Our family was very involved in the Catholic life.
Mhm.
We went to church every Sunday and during the week, and all the things that you're supposed to do to be a quote unquote good Catholic. We
Mhm.
did them. So I had that background. But as I was writing the book, I had to recall what happened to me at the age of 20, yeah, just 20, maybe almost 21 years old. I was in a show where I was having trouble reconciling my personality with the personality of the character that I was portraying, who had very loose morals. And that was very difficult for me. And I felt that I was doing what they asked me to do as a director and a producer. And we were performing actually at one of I think it was, I'm not sure, I can't remember. It may have been Harvard, but it was one of the Ivy League schools here in the United States. And I just wasn't doing my best. I didn't feel good. So I went into the bathroom to pray. And I also had a roommate,
Mhm.
and she and I knew each other for 3 or 4 years because we'd worked together on stage. And I had a charismatic experience at that time. I came out of the bathroom speaking in tongues and crying, and I woke her up and scared her half to death.
Mhm.
All I know is that the next morning, when I got back on, we had to travel, so we were going on a bus to get to the airport or wherever we were going. I can't even remember now. But she had already told everybody, I think Debra Lee had a nervous breakdown last night. And so everyone was walking on eggshells around me. But there was one person who was also in our cast who also was a minister. And that person pulled me aside and said, "What happened? What happened?" And I told him. He says, You didn't have a nervous breakdown. You had a charismatic engagement with the spirit world and with the spirit with God. So you were in communion there and with God. And he says, "I'll do what I can to try to quell their nerves about you, and you just go on and do your show." And after that experience, I was able to really delve into the part and started doing a much better job in the show, and received an awful lot of applause at curtain call. And it was a gift from God to be able to do the role I did and do it well.
Mhm.
So that was the first real charismatic experience I had. So I would say that just remembering that and writing it down kind of helped to refresh me, because I've had a lot of different things through the years. Some people say, "Okay, God, show me a sign."
Yeah.
And then wait for that sign and then make their decision on things. And I was one of those people. And I always got fabulous signs. But at this point in my life, I don't need any signs. I don't need any encouragement in that way to believe in God. You can read the story of Job, and Job went through hell on earth, basically, and God still redeemed him and loved him, and because Job never gave up on God. And so, if you never give up on God, you will always have that quiet ushering of your whole life and your whole path while you're still alive here on this earth. And none of us know what happens on the other side, but I know that you're in better hands if you pack up your bag and you're ready to travel, and you have God with you in that suitcase.
Yeah, no,
So,
100%. And that's an incredible story. Now, your book kind of addresses walking by faith in both life's joyous moments, but also in hardships. And what
yes.
message kind of you hope resonates the most with those facing difficult times? Because we all go through them.
Well, a lot of people say resilience.
Mhm.
Yes, that's true. But for me, in my case, it's perseverance. I
Okay.
have to persevere every day, persevering. I can let people in on this. I had a little trip before this podcast today. I fell and I had to drag myself once again to an area where I could actually hold on to my bed because it's more malleable than a wall or something, and I was able to pull myself back up. And you go through these things every once in a while where you just want to. Most people would say, "Oh, I give it up. I'm not going to do the podcast today," or something to that effect. And you just have to persevere. That yes, you had a little stumble or you dropped something, just pick it up and move on. Life is too short.
Yeah.
Don't miss your opportunities. You never know when your opportunity, sometimes your opportunities are disguised.
Hmm.
Don't miss them.
So true. It's so true. Can I remembered, going through the book and, there's a concept that you talk about of surrender in your book, surrendering control and letting God lead. Now, how can you kind of, how can that be practically done by readers in their own lives?
Well, you just have to kind of stop and, there is a saying, stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
That's one, but I also believe in resting in the vine.
Hmm.
You're think of your life and the tree of life. Let's just go with the tree of life itself.
Yeah.
And think that you are on a branch. You just have to lean into it and let that branch sort of and embrace you. And then from there, you're leaning into the branch, and you'll find some solace, and you'll find some encouragement in the branch because you're held. You're actually held, and you're supported, and you're feeling supported. You're feeling more secure.
Mhm.
And then you just step out from there and give it a try, or give it a try again.
Yeah.
So that's what I do is when even today when this happened to me, I went, oh, rest in the vine. You don't have time, but rest in the vine. And you just kind of go through the motions, and you have to say, okay, God, you're going to get me up. You're going to stand me up. You're going to make sure that I get on the podcast, all those things. And you, as you keep repeating this and repeating this to yourself, there's something about our brains. You can think of I don't know how many people know of the old-fashioned records, like an LP, let's say, or a vinyl record. You get grooves in the vinyl, and that's what makes the sound so that you can actually hear the music. So it's kind of with your brain, you're retraining your brain at the same time that you're learning a new skill. or an old or relearning an old skill, such as I had to do to be able to stay on my feet. And then when you have the setbacks, you have already retrained and set down a new pattern, physically, mentally, spiritually in your brain that will sustain you through those hard times because you've already gone into that positive mode. You know there's something outside of yourself to believe in, and you know that you will be rescued no matter what.
Wow, it's again, no, it's choices. I always, this word keeps on coming kind of to my thoughts kind of when you
Okay.
speak. It's like it's making a choice. It's making a choice to be positive and saying, I will get to that podcast, and even if I'm a
Hmm.
minute late, because I want to, and I'm positive about it,
Hmm.
and I trust my body, and I can do this right now, or other things that people are dealing with. And it's it's so strong. It's so strong and powerful. So thank you for this. And many people who are listening to us right now, I'm sure, are struggling maybe to take the first kind of step of faith. And
Hmm.
maybe, and you touched it a little bit, but maybe what are some practical ways, um, or yeah, practical ways someone can begin to walk by faith, especially when they're unsure to how to start or what
Okay.
to do first.
Well, just like when you're a child, when you're a baby,
Yeah.
you learn to move a little bit here and there, and then slowly you are able to start crawling. And then as you're crawling, eventually you'll be able to support your spine so that you can stand. You're going to need some help to do it, but you'll stand. And then from there, God willing, you will walk as well. So for me, that's the same thing. I always say when somebody's working on that and let's say they've had a wonderful experience and then life throws something like a raspberry in
Yeah.
there, right next to all of the things that they had just accomplished that were good. Um, I say you're taking baby steps. Just take baby steps. You don't have to just leap in the air and do some sort of a ballet movement is the way I think of it. I was going to say, and do a tour jeté is what I was going to say, but you don't, you have to go slow. Everybody has to go slow. Your faith just, you may have a charismatic experience like I did. Then you have to get yourself a Bible and just start to read and try to understand. And I really believe this, that once you have faith within your soul, the Bible becomes easy to understand. Some people say it's very difficult. They don't understand it, so they're not going to look at it. Well, just open up. What I used to do just for fun is I'd have my Bible and I'd run my hand through it and I'd come to a stop and I'd open it up and I'd say, okay, God, what am I going to learn today that I didn't know? And there's going to be something there that will resonate with you as you're reading it. And that may have been your lesson for the day. It's kind of like a devotion or an affirmation. So I say that whatever it takes to get you started in the Bible, to do that, and then also start, if you can, get into a class about Genesis and just work right through the entire Bible if you can, if you have time.
Mhm.
Get into a Bible study.
Okay. No, these are great.
So,
They're great. So, not being afraid of taking small steps and just like finding your path, your personal path into it. And walking by faith is often seen as a solitary journey, but your book talks about community. So, how
yeah.
can faith communities really support each other in walking by faith together?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. Well, once again, it starts with a small gesture. It could be just meeting in a talking to somebody. Maybe they're having a hard time, and you can relate it to how are they feeling? how do they feel emotionally? How do they feel in their spirit?
Mhm.
Because we are the large component. Of course, we're physical flesh and bones and all of these things. We can think, we can make choices, but your spirituality is half of your entire makeup, and that's why people are always looking for answers
Mhm.
uh, to their questions. That sometimes it just seems that where is it coming from? I have a well full of questions, and where are the answers to my private thirsts? And then eventually, you can gently lead someone toward an article or a devotion. You can start small and just try to help people test the waters just a little bit. I wouldn't I'm not one of those people that says go ahead and just evangelize, evangelize people to have any beliefs. But because people need to take accountability for themselves and for what they're thinking. And I think if you come on too strong,
Mhm.
it's a little bit more difficult to change you. And changing a community is probably a very, very difficult thing to do. I mean, I was a mayor for 8 years, so I was always working within the public, and I didn't stop myself from expressing myself in a religious manner. And people liked that. That it was a refreshing. We're moving on to different territory, and I would have prayer. Every year there's a day of prayer, and it's coming up again in May here in the United States. And so I would have it at City Hall, and people that wanted to come would come. And some people would just read about it in the newspaper and ask questions later. So you just go small with the community. You can't just jump in there and say, "Hey, we're doing it this way."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, no,
People
100%.
have to make their own choices. You
Yeah.
have to actually give them the plate. Let's say, let's call it a plate of food. We have this, we have I don't know, potatoes on one side and a meat on or a fish on the other, and we have vegetables. Let them choose what they want to eat first, and then move on from there.
No, I love this attitude and I can't believe it. But this is our last question. And
Oh,
yeah, time flies
eat
when
fast.
you're having fun and you're having this great conversation. And, I want to take you kind of looking into the future, looking ahead. What can readers expect from you next, both kind of in terms of your writing and your personal faith journey? What's what's to come?
Mm. Well, everyone is asking, what's your next book going to be like? And I'm saying, well, let me just work with this one to start with. But I've already decided my next book, I have my cousin is a certified, very well-known chef in the Midwest.
Mhm.
So I am going to put out a book that I'm going to call Recipe for Kindness, and it'll be our stories together and separately, and he'll be putting recipes to the kindness stories.
Beautiful stuff.
And yeah, and we're going to go about it together, and it'll be a nice thing to do for ourselves as bonding as relatives, and it'll be a nice thing for people to read, and they'll actually be able to make a meal from what we are going to put out there. So that'll be the next book.
That's exciting. It's a perfect combination of great food and great
Right.
values and faith. So
Yes.
best kind of combination. So wow, this is it. Our episode has come to an end, and thank you for joining us for this insightful conversation with Debra Lee Fader. Her words, your words, really remind us all that walking by faith is more than a concept. It's a transformative practice that shapes how we really navigate life's challenges. And in Deborah's story, and if Deborah's story in kind of inspired you, you felt something kind of in your heart, be sure to grab a copy of Walk by Faith with God as Your Compass and experience actually the journey for yourself. And you can find the book wherever books are sold, including Amazon, of course. And to connect with Debra, visit her website and follow her on social media. And as always, really appreciate you tuning in to the BrightWord Books podcast. And don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with any family member, friend, colleague that you feel this episode can be meaningful for them. So it was a great pleasure. Until next time, and keep walking by faith and let kind of God lead the way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Romy. It's a marvelous interchange. I'm glad we had a chance to talk, and
Definitely.
thank you. Oh, and my website, you can go to debraleefader.com if you want to know more about me. And then that's all I can say today. God bless you.
God bless everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, Debra. Have a wonderful
Yes.
day ahead. And thank you to everyone who kind of tuned in with us. Thank you all.
You've been listening to the BrightWord Books Podcast, home of the literary community that celebrates creativity, inclusivity, and the transformative power of literature. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss future episodes. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.